Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me?
With your host, Brandon Tierney. In 3, 2, 1.
What's happening, everybody? BT Unleashed in the house. What's going on? Yeah. I'm not even going to waste much time to start the show on how aggravated I was yesterday over the smallest thing. Had a great day, right? Went to medieval times, which somehow I've never done before, and we had a blast, right? So anyway, I ordered these, and then I'm going to get into the show. But I just got to give you a little behind the curtain because, man, I was so pissed yesterday. So I ordered these things for the light because, as you can tell, it's still reflecting everywhere. And the research that I did to get the right ones, I can't even tell you how deeply I dove into finding these, right? Finally found them, ordered them. It was supposed to come Sunday. I thought I'd have them for Monday show. Not a big deal. Roll with the punches. Click by click, brick by brick. It's all good. So when I get back from medieval times, not there. I'm like, I'm waiting for them like a kid on Christmas. Finally, around 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, they show up. And I tear into the package. I'm like, let's go. I get the ladder. Could not wait to go to work because they're these kind of like these self-affixing things that you put over recessed lighting, and it obscures the light coming this way, which, as you can tell, it's still there. Anyway, what absolute garbage, what junk these things were. I hang the first one. There's 4 of them in my office, 4 recessed lights, right? Hang the first one, such pride. I'm like, oh, nice. I've got the lights on. I could see that it's not banging off the back anymore. I'm like, here we go. This is what I needed. Put up the second one. As I'm putting up the second one, think the first one drops. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. All right. Then I go back. I put the ladder. I reattach it. Go back to finishing the second one. Go to the third one. Think. I almost put my fist through the wall. But I held it together. Inwardly, I was about to explode like a volcano because I can't stand getting misrepresented. Like, I don't really know what the rules are with this. I'm going to stop short of burying a company on YouTube because I don't want the channel to get any, I don't want to have any issues with the show and the stream. But when I find out that there are no issues in terms of saying what you want about a product, this product is going to, and this company is going to, I'm going to dismantle this company. J-Rod, it drove me bonkers trying to put
this is
things
wild,
together, dude. I can't even tell you. And by the way, it would actually be a lot worse. So then what do? I run through a hardware store. I'm like trying to and I'm not the handiest guy around the house. I did some construction back in college, but that was demo. Like, I would come in with the sledgehammer and just smash walls and, grunt work and clean it up. I got no problem working hard, but in terms of like building and creating stuff, I'm not exactly that guy. So I'm like, all right, we've got to piece some plan together. I go to the hardware store. I'm looking for some sort of blackout, some sort of nothing. I knew they wouldn't actually have recessed lighting covers. That would be too easy to black it out. So I wind up getting black construction paper.
Oh, man.
And I'm thumbtacking it, and black sandpaper. So I'm thumbtacking that to the top of the ceiling. So
wow.
It drove me nuts. But now that that's out of the way, but when I find out what I can really do in terms of lambasting a specific company without getting in trouble, this company's getting no more business the rest of their existence. I am going to destroy you. Get on them. I am going to eviscerate them. I can't tell you how mad I was. So with that being said, J-Rod's back. All good. Let's start the show. All right. Very interesting baseball day yesterday. Listen, I know you guys love when we talk baseball. So this is going to be a big baseball show. I got a little something with NFL free agency as well. But yesterday was a very, very interesting day for both the Yankees and the Mets. Now, you kind of go through the early phases of spring training, couple of what's funny about spring training? I do find this very interesting. Anytime you see any footage of anybody at spring training, they're never working hard. Like, they're always jogging. Every ground ball, like, you're doing a little. I saw the Yankees doing some plays yesterday. Infield up, play at the plate. I mean, my son could have caught those balls when he was 5. I mean, the exit velo may have been 30 miles an hour. Can we ramp it up a little bit? I mean, it's not like you got Ozzie Smith and Don Mattingly out there. Let's get these guys some work. My good God. Anyway, I'm watching the footage, and like every sprint is like a jog. every throw is just like a little lazy. Yeah, and I know they're stretching out the labrums. Trust me, I get that. I'm kind of being facetious. I know they're putting in the work, but every time you see any sort of outside of when they're hitting, did you see the bomb that Judge hit yesterday off 103 mile per hour fastball? My Judge is ready. Judge is ready to hit, and Judge is ready to speak, which is what we start with. J-Rod, get this up for me, please. Wow. Now, the Yankees are very interesting. Very, very lucky. A little slow on that J-Rod there, but that's okay. The graphic, look at that sick graphic. Look at J-Rod putting in the time. Now, this was Aaron Judge yesterday. Quote, I'm seeing other teams around the league get better. They're making trades. They're signing big prospects or big players. And we kind of, we're sitting there for a while, kind of making smaller moves. And here's the money part. And you could tell when this came out of his mouth, he was kind of that reflexive, all right, let me drop in an impish grin so everybody knows I'm not really crushing the Yankees. But boy, oh boy, did this resonate because we've been saying this forever. I was like, quote, we're the New York Yankees. Let's go out there and get the right people, get the right pieces, and finish this thing off. That was, of course, the great almighty, incomparable, awesome, all-time legend Aaron Judge. Now, all right, you can get that off there. That really does look good. I like that, J-Rod. Well done. So, see, first of all, the Yankees are lucky that Aaron Judge is not a troublemaker. Like, they are lucky that their best player and the best player that I've ever seen, with all due respect to Griffey and maybe a young Mike Trout and a few others, but it's Aaron Judge for me. And I think it's Aaron Judge for many. It's debatable. It's fine. But just to keep it moving, for me, it's Judge. But they are lucky that Aaron Judge is wired in a way that there's great sensitivity and great appreciation for what a story can bring in terms of heat. Because if you watch that, you could tell, because he gave it away a few times, like where he incorporates that big grin and he kind of goes like this. He's like, and right there what's banging around his head. He is processing very quickly. All right, I got to walk the line of not going too deep here, but I got to keep it a little real. I got to keep it a buck. I got to. And that's about as buck as Aaron Judge is going to get because he's not combative. He's not emotionally combustible. He is as steady and as good a citizen as you could possibly employ. I mean, he's just the best. So if it was me, and I'd like to think I'm a good citizen as well, but I've got a limit as to how far, like if I'm him, I'm going to sit there and keep my mouth shut and watch these other teams go out there and do what they're doing, and we're just pretty much running it back. Now, I don't want to get back into the whole, we're running it back, we're not running it back conversation. We've had that a million ways sideways. Garrett Cole, more starts with Schlittler. They're not exactly running it back, but, I mean, it's pretty freaking close. I mean, if you really think about it, maybe I will have to expand on this for a second. Who's playing first base opening day? Ben Rice. I love him. Who's playing second? Jazz. He's back. Who's playing short? Caballero, then Volpe. Back. Who's playing third? McMahon. Who's behind the plate? Austin Wells. Who's in center? Grisham. Who's in right? Judge. Who's in left? Bellinger. Who's the DH? Stanton. I mean, if that's not the ultimate definition of running it back, at least in terms of the lineup, I don't know what to tell you. See, the thing that's very interesting about this, and I do wish at times Aaron was a little more assertive. Like, I respect the way he handled this. I respect the way he kind of, mid-delivery pivoted to make sure it was, all right, let's not have this thing go off the rails here. He's a smart guy, and he's a very good person, so he's not looking to stir things up, unnecessarily. But I would have loved to have heard that a month and a half ago. That's where it really would have hit the mark. Could you imagine if Aaron Judge would have said that 30 days ago, like before Bellinger signed and, we didn't know what was going on here? Could you imagine the lightning, the storm, the tsunami of coverage and everybody chiming in? Wow. Now you're getting it a little bit today because he still said it. And J-Rod, throw that back up once more if you can, please. I just aesthetically, look at that. Like I see that, I'm like, all right, I'm doing a real show. Like now we're starting to incorporate graphics. Oh, it's on. I mean, J-Rod, it's one thing to do the show in the basement with no real Wi-Fi and no microphone, but look at that. I know the lighting sucks. I get that, but man, I feel like I'm on.
We're getting
TV
real
right
here.
Now.
It's getting real.
It's getting real, bro. It is getting real. Like I could feel this. This is great. But how about like those one, two lines? Really three. I was like, We're the New York Yankees. Let's go out and get the right people and finish this thing off. I mean, now, I do think, thank you for that, J-Rod. I do think that, when we get into these conversations, I do think it's a little misleading in the sense, not that I just blindly defend the Yankees. I crush the Yankees as much as anybody, at least Brian Cashman, right? But, and how to a lesser extent, but really Cashman, from a baseball point of view, has been the source of my consternation more than anybody. You know that, well chronicled for years, don't need to reset it, right? But that's what people reach for. We're the Yankees. Act like the Yankees. Remember who you are. Remember, do what George used to do, which is never going to happen. Be the Yankees. Remember you're the Yankees. Like, that is a mantra. That is a common refrain that I must have heard a million times on WFAN with Sal and even with Tiki before that. Like, I've just heard that forever. Now, I do think it gets a little hijacked because then you hear people saying, well, the Yankees are cheap. No, they're not. They got a top 3, top 4 payroll. Shut up. You sound like an idiot when you sound misinformed. You sound uninformed. You sound unnecessarily angry. Like let's create a space where we can always keep it real, which I always will, but also incorporate, I don't know, this little thing that they call facts somewhere along the way. The Yankees will be good this year. The Yankees will make the playoffs this year. If Judge is healthy, knock on wood, Judge will win the MVP this year. I think when it's all said and done, the Yankees will have the best rotation in the American League, possibly in all of baseball. And I do think the Yankees, if for once they could get a little lucky, and I don't know, maybe by the trade deadline, find an actual leadoff hitter, which would change the entire complexion of their team, I think that the Yankees maybe could mess around, get back to, and maybe win a World Series for the first time in a gazillion years. Maybe. Like, I'm not betting on that. I don't think that that's going to happen. But to say that it's completely without possibility, now you're just being unfair, right? And when I heard that, like, I was actually in my office, right, doing some stuff for the show today, and I heard that, and most of it was fairly benign at the start, like, hey, I was kind of sitting here. But when I heard that line, you should have seen my face. I wish it was on camera. I was like this. I was like, what did he say? What? Well, ooh. All right, Cap, here you go. Now, just imagine if that was said a month ago. Now, I also think that, and I really do believe this, it's happened to me on occasion on the radio, not often, because I say what I feel, and, I say what I believe, but there are times, when you are going down a road and your thoughts are getting a little convoluted on a very important topic, maybe something, not that I really throw politics out there a lot, you guys know that, but make sure that you don't just sloppily finish your sentence so that it can get misconstrued and hijacked. Like, you've got to finish the thought and make sure it's coherent and people know where you stand, right? And it's a very hard thing to explain. And Aaron Judge is not a professional communicator. He's a professional baseball player. But when you're a professional baseball player and when you're Aaron Judge and you play for the Yankees, in essence, you become a pseudo-professional communicator, whether it's body language or of the verbal sense. And it's a real interesting art, how you thread the needle of thinking and speaking at the same time. Like, the one thing that is not even a challenge, but it is what it is. It's become already very natural. But the biggest difference for me doing this show versus being on terrestrial, more conventional radio is that, number one, I've had a partner most of my, not all of it, most of my career. And there's this like diversion, self-reflective tactic that you use as a not as a weapon, but as a tool to construct thoughts. Like, you could just throw out a phone number and, like, say if you don't have something to say, you throw out the number. And as you're throwing out the number, you're also simultaneously constructing your next thought. So you learn very quickly, and I don't know that I did that as effectively when I first started. It becomes a tool, a very useful prop, if you will, to just kind of keep the train moving and continue the conversation. Now, I think that Aaron Judge yesterday, in his mind, very quickly understood, especially that point about we're the Yankees, let's act like it. What are we doing here? I think that he knew, right, like, that was a point of inflection. Like, that was a speed bump in his mind where he's like, oof, all right, let me quickly correct this, because then, and we don't need to throw it back up on the board because we don't have this part. That's not as important to me. But when he says, yeah, we got Grish, we got Belly, we got this with the bullpen, we're ready. I like what we have. Then he went into, I don't want to say damage control because it wasn't very damaging what he said, but, let me just, if there's a little flickering flame, let me just douse that out with some water and with some positivity and, project to the entire baseball world and the baseball community that I think that we have what it takes to win a championship. I don't think that they have what it takes to win a championship. And deep down, I don't think he does either. I really don't. Now, I know it's different when you play with somebody. Let me give you an example. Like, I can sit here and until I'm blue in the face, which I've always done, and going back to, when the Yankees were debating on whether or not they should extend the $22 million qualifying offer to Trent Grisham. You know my take on that. I would not have done it. Now, I don't actually think that the Yankees got fooled. Some people think that they did, that they misread it, or that they offered it and they knew he wasn't going to take it. And then they were, oh, wow, we took it. Well, what are we going to do? Because if you really think about, now I got to be fair. If you think about the production that he brought to the table a year ago, 34 bombs, whatever, 240-ish, 250 average, less concerned with the average. On base decent, OPS very good, over 800. And I know that his defensive metrics took a little bit of a step back. I still think he's a pretty good center fielder. If he hits 30 home runs and has an 803 OPS for $22 million, that's a steal. That's a steal in modern baseball in the year 2026. My problem is where he hits in the order. So it's easy for me to say, well, that's not what I'm looking for. Struggles against good lefties. Do I really trust him against elite pitching? Do I want him at the batter before Aaron Judge in a high leverage spot? No, I don't. I want somebody like Stephen Kwan. I want somebody like Derek Jeter. Not to put Kwan and Jeter in the same sentence, but certainly not equivocating the two. I want somebody like Chuck Knobloch. I would even take somebody like Wade Boggs, who is an on-base machine. I mean, obviously, vintage Boggs. I mean, more so Boggs with the Yankees. Guys like that. Yes, I want a more conventional leadoff hitter. I don't know that Judge looks at it that way because it's his teammate, it's his boy, and his boy hit 34 home runs, and he did some good things on the field. So I don't think that it's apples to apples how we view what the Yankees are and the players that they either retained or have brought in. I think it's a little different in his mind because it's just a different synergy, because when you play with somebody and the guy in front of you hits 34 home runs, I mean, it's tough to shit on him. It just is. But what we do is, because, he wasn't around in 2010 and 2011 and 2012 and 2013 and all those empty years without the championship, what we do is we package up all of our energy and all of our anger and all of our distaste for what Brian Cashman has done, or maybe more specifically, has not done the last X amount of years, and we present it as now, like as one big ball of discontent. And all those years before Aaron Judge got there, it doesn't register on his emotional meter because it doesn't affect him. It just doesn't. So, but really interesting, and absolutely on point, absolutely in bounds. I wish he would have actually gone even further, and I wish he would have said it a month ago. I wish he would have said it right after the season ended. All right, you get bounced by Toronto. Toronto, clearly the superior team. I mean, let's not fool anybody here. Toronto beat the crap out of them during the regular season, and they punked them in the playoffs. They absolutely smacked the Yankees, right? So to me, if anybody had a license or the latitude to show frustration, and I mean legitimate, without parsing it, it's our boy number 99. Because I think at that point, even though, I think I played the corporate game well, I think I've always been a good employee. I show up, I work hard, I produce, get ratings, get revenue, good soldier, no problems. Like, that's how I was raised. But there's a point where if something's awry, you've earned the right to say, I'm not saying I'm Aaron Judge, that's ridiculous. But, when you earn the right based on how you comport yourself over years and how you produce, he would have been well within bounds. And I wish he would have actually done that. I really do. Because now, what does it really mean now? Doesn't mean much now because there's nothing else to do, So that was Aaron Judge. That was Aaron. I'll get to Cohen in a little bit. At Avery Summit. BT, this week off-season mindset's been there since Jeter and company have gone. Passing on Harper, Machado, Seager, etc. became regularities, not outliers. Killer mindset's gone. Hashtag be real. Yeah, I think that's a very fair assessment and assertions that are on point. Listen, here's what I say about the Yankees, right? This is where, again, it gets hijacked. Do I think the Yankees want to win? Of course I think that the Yankees want to win. And if you don't think that the Yankees want to win, you're an idiot. I don't know what else to tell you. You're misreading the situation. You're off base and you're unfair. The difference, all right, let's cut the nut this way. Winning used to be the oxygen for the Yankees. If they didn't win, they couldn't breathe. Well, they're not winning. They're still finding a way to get some oxygen pumping through those lungs. That's the difference. They want to win. They try to win. They are not fixated on winning. It's a massive difference. That's true. Like, that's a very fair scouting report on the Yankees. I think a lot of the other stuff is a little bit off base, as I've said many times, but I just think that and by the way, I get it. Like, when fans are frustrated, things are going to come out. They just watch what happens. Watch what happens with the Knicks this year. Like, if the Knicks don't win it, and let's say if the Knicks if the Knicks got bumped in the first round, good God. I mean, it's gonna be anarchy. If the Knicks play the Pistons on Thursday at the Garden, you better show up for that game, Knicks. Like, you better have gotten the memo when they kicked your face in last Friday by 38 points. All right, Brunson and Cat, love that they won whatever that stupid competition was. Allen Houston, good for them. Get a couple of days off your feet. Come back and show the Pistons and show us that you mean business. But, like, if the Knicks ever lost in the first round, and even if they lose in the second round, it is going to be off the chart emotional. And that will be fair. Like, there are points where even those who are in the trenches and the most convicted believers in a player or a management team or a roster, like, if they lose in round two and you still believe that they can win with Cat and he could be the second best player on a championship team, which clearly I don't think at all. I'm hoping, but I don't think that one bit, although I do love, Alvarado, the other pickup from the Spurs. I like what they did there. I just don't think they're going to win, right? But even if you're the most ardent Cat supporter, watch what happens if they get bounced early and he doesn't play well. Because if he doesn't play well, they will get bounced early. So there'll be a direct correlation there. So it's okay to react with venom and, with transparency. Like, I think that you should. I do think that the Yankees are a little different because the Knicks standard has never been the Yankee standard. The Mets standard has never been the Yankee standard. The Ranger or Islanders with the 4 straight back in the day, sure, but after that, or the Devils standard has never been the Yankee standard. The Jets, certainly the Jets have never been the Yankee standard. Like, the one that's closest here would be the Giants, And when you have that kind of a standard, you're going to react probably a little bit early and a little bit more emotionally than if it's a different team that you expect less from. So this is all, in a long roundabout way, this is all about the model that the Yankees created themselves by always winning, and when they didn't win, doing whatever it took to try to ensure that they would win. That's gone away. We all know that. They want to be good, and they are going to be good. We're used to them. I'm not even used to it because it's been a while. We used to be used to them. The expectation used to be championship or bust. Every time now the Yankees get bounced from the playoffs here, does anybody seem agitated? Does Hal ever come out and say, all right, hey, here's the mandate. If we don't get to the World Series next year, Cashman's gone, manager's gone, this guy's gone, that's it. I've spent $350, and I know he's talked about the money, but I've spent $350. I believe this is a World Series team, even though I don't. But if he said that, it would be cathartic because it would be a reminder what they used to be. And the fact that Judge gave us just a little sprinkle of truth yesterday, I appreciate it. On point. And he didn't even have to go back and parse it with a smile and then prop up the Grishams and all the other stuff. And certainly Bellinger, who I'm happy is back. But he didn't even have to do that. Well within his rights to do that even more aggressively. It's just not his style. At Armand is amazing. Thoughts on Tony Clark resigning as the MLBPA executive director, whatever. I mean, Tony Clark, class act, good ball player, played for the Yankees for a minute. I listen, he's paid. His job is to represent the players. And when you are tasked with that, you're going to alienate some people because some people will perceive it to be greedy, whatever. I don't care. Figure it out. That's it. Remember, the unkillable ran. Hey, you might, maybe one of the best receivers in the game. This was a couple of years ago in Garrett. One of the best corners in the game in Sauce. One of the best running backs in the game in Breece. Figure it out. Figure it out, man. Figure it out. Sit down. Not him now. Figure out who's going to be in charge. I don't even know who it is, right? And whomever it is, figure it out. Figure it out. So I can't derail the show with MLBPA boring, legal discussion. Who the hell wants to? I don't even want to talk about that now. There will be a time and a place for that. That today is not that time, nor is it that place. All right, so here's the other thing. And then I want to tell you a couple of things about, I've got to check my message in a moment. Got some news on the next BT and Sal live show. Got some news. And I'll get to the Cohen stuff, Breece Hall as well. So in 15 or 20 years, right, is anybody going to, if there's even conventional sports radio at that point, who knows? But the content that will be out there and the people dissecting the sports world, do you really think in like 15 or 20 years, anybody's going to be really worked up over a Brian Cashman Hall of Fame debate? Does anybody really think that Brian Cashman will generate such a visceral reaction comparing him to other general managers that it's going to be an entire show or an entire segment? The answer is no. It's going to be a point of reference, and that's it, right? Same with Aaron Boone. As much as we love Joe Torre with all those championships, we don't sit around and debate Joe Torre's merits. Is he better than Casey Stengel? Is he better than Miller Huggins? Is he better than Tommy Lasorda? Is he better than Tony La Russa? We just don't do that. Is he better than Sparky Anderson, Big Red Machine? You don't do it because it's number one, it's boring, and it's not really interesting, which is also boring, and it's very hard to definitively, not that you can't quantify wins and championships, but it's not the same as stats. Let me tell you who is going to be in the middle of these conversations, and that's number 99, Aaron Judge. And Aaron Judge does what he can do. And the one who's going to be most adversely affected from a legacy point of view is Aaron Judge. So Aaron Judge is well within his right to go out there and say whatever the hell he wants to say. There is nothing pertaining to baseball, the construction of the Yankees, the direction of the Yankees, anything about a teammate, nothing that Aaron Judge can ever say that will force me or prompt me to get on Aaron Judge. Nothing. So I wanted more. But it's a baby step, guys, Yankees lose the World Series to the Dodgers. Dodgers shit all over the Yankees. They can't run. They can't field. We knew the scouting report. Anybody really, fire back like, fuck you, LA? Anybody say that? Anybody just come out and really be demonstrative in their defense of the Yankees? The answer is no. I know that Boone resisted a little bit. Any players really come out? Really come out? The answer is no. So it almost seems like, and I know that this isn't the right word because I know that they want to win. Trust me, I do. But there's almost like there's this acceptance that when the Yankees bow out, like we're so tired of the ones always screaming, It's like if you're in a bad relationship and you're the one, and I'm not saying the Yankees are a bad relationship. It's not a great comparison, but if you're in a bad relationship and you try to change somebody, or you're the one who's putting the work in to change yourself, and the other person, boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, whatever it is, best friend, and they're not doing anything about it, or they're not doing nearly as much as you are you going to want to keep having that conversation? Because it's going to be a regurgitation of the same thing. And the Yankee energy has largely been, J-Rod, keep that up, bud, a regurgitation of the same stuff over and over and over. So I think that quite frankly, I think I'm one of the few who has this has this position properly, where, I understand the Yanks are good. I'm appreciative of that, but I also know what they used to be, and my target's Cashman. Like, I don't think there's anything nebulous about where I stand, where I sit, nothing to interpret. You know how I feel about the Yankees. And I have gotten frustrated talking about the same things over and over and over. It's a waste of energy. Hey, things don't change until they change. I know that that's a corny mantra, but it's true. Oh, I'm going to do this, and New Year's Day, that's it. I'm going to get in shape. I'm going to go to the gym all the time. I'm going to eat healthy. What are you doing on January 2nd? You're sucking down pizza. Did you join the gym? Did you hit the cardio machine? Are you doing push-ups? Are you walking? Are you doing anything? Or is it empty energy? It's empty energy. Do something about it, Fired up today, J-Rod. God, I love talking baseball. All right. It's Matt Joe. Cotton Eye Joe. Matt Joe. What up, Matt? Fans get fried by, I think that, it's, what? All right. Fans get fried by media these days for reacting with venom when the Yankees get bounced. One broadcaster says he's sick of Yankee fans complaining. I think you're talking about Michael, my buddy Michael K. I don't know. I don't think Paul O'Neill says that. I don't think David Cohn says that. I don't think Dave Sims or Susan Waltman said that. I mean, maybe they have. You're probably talking about Michael K. I'm going to get Michael on the show. He's already committed. Can't wait. Good friends with Michael. Love him. Got a lot of respect for Michael. Doesn't mean I agree with everything he says. So if I'm sure you're attributing that to Michael, and if that's the case, I'll bring it up on the show. Michael's very vocal. You know, Michael is not one of these. I'll tell you what, like you think, I remember going through this. I'll tell you a little story here. And I'll tell you, BT and Sal Live, Cohen, Breece. So we got a big show. Keep those comments coming in. I remember, I do forget the year. Bobby Gonzalez was coaching Seton Hall, right? Maybe it was 2006 because I referenced this the other day when St. John snapped a 25-game road losing streak. This had to be intertwined during that miserable era. And I'm doing all the games at that point. I'm traveling everywhere. I'm doing every game with Crispino and Tariq Turner, right? And I think it was the first conference game of the year. I'm pretty sure. And another stat embedded within that 25-game road losing streak was St. John's had lost X amount of Big East road games. I mean, it was awful. And they're winning by I forget the exact specifics, 7 or 8 points, couple of minutes to go. I'll never forget this. I used to have Bobby Gonzalez on my show a lot. So back in the day when I was on 1050 and the Big East tournament was right downstairs, the old studio, pardon me, was at 2 Penn Plaza. And then I would just go down and I would do the St. John's games and obviously watch all Syracuse, UConn, all the good games after St. John's DePaul or after St. John's whomever, right? So anyway, I remember the I want to make sure I had the year right though. Wait, okay, yeah. I'm going to say 06. And I would always have the coaches on, you know, like Gonzalez would come on. When Louis Orr was at Seton Hall, he would come on. Obviously, Norm or any St. John's coach would come on. Boeheim would come on. Had Jay Wright a few times. So I remember having Bobby on the show, and he was a fiery dude, Bobby Gonzalez. Wow. And St. John's was up like 7 or 8 points, and they flushed the lead down. And I just, I lost it. I basically went into, this is during the St. John's game. I went into talk show mode, this program's a disaster. I crushed them. I really went hard. Honestly, looking back, out of bounds. You know, you're doing a game. Yeah, it's one thing to be honest. If you're losing by 20, I laid it on. I just couldn't take it anymore. It was lost. And I loved the program. And I personalized it, right? And I was younger, maybe a little less refined. And it came out. Well, 2 things from that. And it ties into Michael and how he handles his job, right? I remember after the Seton Hall comes back and wins, and I am all sorts of distraught and pissed. And I'm just letting it go. And Bobby Gonzalez wraps up his interview. I think it was with Gary Cohen. Wraps up his TV interview with whomever, and then maybe ESPN, and then does the radio interview with Gary. And as he's walking, man, I know him a little bit because I've had him on the show. As he's walking by to get to the locker room, he was, I fucking told you we'd win. We went. Now I'm on the air talking. He wasn't really mad at me. He was very fired up. And I remember just going like this. All right, yeah, I know you won. Because I was in the middle of my own emotions there, just pissed, right? So I say that because when you are part of a broadcast team and you do a talk show, now, even now with St. John's being amazing with Patino, making money, relevance, national relevance. It has been as joyous a ride. And I mean, I'm very appreciative. I'm having a blast, dude. I'm having an absolute blast. But St. John's profile, even with Rick, compared to the Yankees, is night and day. So, you know, if I was to say something on a St. John's game, it would be received differently than if Michael crushes the Yankees, you know. But I think Michael does a pretty good job of straddling the line of being pretty transparent and pretty real. I really believe that. Now, I know he's got a relationship with Hal and the Steinbrenner family, You're not going to bite the hand that feeds you. You'd be an idiot. I mean, to just take a wrecking ball to the Yankees, again, you've got to straddle that line, and it's not easy. So I think I don't agree with everything he says. Again, I want to be clear about that. But I think that Michael really does do an admirable job of being real and being a talk show host and juggling these topics with the venom that you guys, I don't hear a show that much, but I've heard it over the years many times. I see the articles written about, Michael with the Met fans or, Michael something with the Yankees. I know that you think it's easy, and I know he's incredibly well compensated, as he should be, but it's not as easy as you think. So if you're talking about Kay, I respect it. That's your opinion. And I'll look for some specific stuff as I get ready to bring Michael on the show. All right, now, let me see if I got this one text. I've got to make sure that I can do this here. All right. Hold on. That's actually from Sal. Did he get back to me? Okay. So, April 10th. I do not have the venue. I do, but he hasn't written that back yet. So, I know it, but I don't want to put it out there. April 10th, Long Island, next BT and Sal live show. Bang. Put it in the calendars. BT and Sal live. I believe it's about a 400 or a 500 seat venue, which is basically exactly what we did at the Vogel Theater in Red Bank, New Jersey. So what we're going to try to do is obviously get together every couple of months for something formal like that. I'm going to jump on Sal's YouTube show tomorrow night. I'll get him back on mine maybe in a week or so and really pick and choose where, you get the BT and Sal dynamic here with this kind of content, but also on a stage with, just a bigger, more grand presentation. We're still going to be, we're not going to be up there with tuxedos. You're still going to get BT and Sal. It's going to be as raw as you can get. It's basically, we can say whatever we want. And F-bombs are flying. I had a drink in my hand the entire time we were up on stage with Sal and Booney. So that is coming April 10, Long Island. And then from there, I'm going to have to find something in Brooklyn for me. Long Island makes a lot of sense. Start of the baseball season. And put that in your calendar. April 10, BT Sal 2-0 live show out east. But I'll probably get the text of the venue today. And still got at least another hour or so to go here on the show. I'm pumped. J-Rod, you better come to this, man. Get you up on stage with Bada Boom.
We're there. We could honestly think of something fun, like a little game we could do,
Absolutely.
some kind of contest, something like that. I'm excited to meet the fans, excited to be like a public facing figure on a stage. So yeah, it'll be great.
Love it. No, listen, you don't just when you do something like this, you've got to plan it out. It's not like, even though we probably could because we have that kind of chemistry, but it's not like, all right, man, let's just go on stage for an hour and a half and fuck around and hopefully something sticks. Like we do map it out. We do have it structured, much like we would have a radio show structure, then it just deviate and bounce around whatever we want. You've got to at least have the skeleton, as I would call it, like a general map of where you want the show to go. But how about this? Now, you can think about it. How about you want to get on stage, do a little performance? I mean, I know
that would be so fun.
You want to do it?
Funny. Yeah, I feel that'd be great. I feel like if we started off, we did like the Unleashed intro kind of deal. I think that'd be fun. And I can try to get some people to play music with me, but we'll figure it out. I mean, that would be.
Remember, though, it's not, but it's just not just an Unleashed thing. It's BT and Sal.
BT and Sal, exactly.
So maybe you come up with something for BT and Sal.
Ooh,
throw something, start spitting a little BT and Sal rhymes out.
That'd be tight.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm giving you a lot of work. First, you got to finish the Unleashed song.
Then we got the BT. We're gonna have an album by the end of the year.
I love the old album covers. That's the thing. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, today's music is horrible. I mean, I like my older music, whether it's 90s rap, whether it's, Billy Joel, hard rock, classic rock, it's pretty eclectic. I mean, even Taylor Swift, some songs, my daughter. I mean, it's pretty varied, but I think most people kind of gravitate to music when they were a little bit younger. Most people,
of course, sure.
Most people. So you're too young. When you only bought CDs, you never bought albums, right?
I didn't even buy CDs. I'm from the streaming era. I mean, my childhood was iPod on, I think the iPod probably got invented when I was 4 or 5 years old. 4 or 5 years old. So that's been my entire life, has been music literally at your fingertips.
This guy's growing up, downloading whatever he's downloading, right? And I'm growing up and I'm tying little pieces of thread around Luke Skywalker's ankle and hanging them from my fan and having Han Solo trying to scoop him up with the Millennium Falcon, with Jabba the Hutt and all the other TIE fighters coming after him. Wow. All right. So that's coming up. I just got a text here. Oh, that's coming up. I cannot wait. We've been plotting this out for a little bit. I mean, listen, understanding you're not going to do one every 3 weeks. It's a production. The venues aren't cheap. We've got to secure them, which we have done. Let me see here. Oh, here we go. Here we go. The Krosnoff Theater. It's at the Tile Center, LIU's campus out east there. There it is. Am I saying that right? The Krasnoff Theater. It's definitely on the campus of LIU. It's got about 500 seats, and we've got the date. Boom, April 10th it is. And the way my guy Tooch, who is by far the best in the business, he runs all the jet trips that I've gone on over the years. He runs Big Blue Travel. He is a Sinatra impersonator, and he performs, by the way. He comes out there with his tuxedo. That's how we open BT and Sal Live. He starts banging out Sinatra tunes to get the crowd going. And then me and Sal enter, we hit the stage, and it's, it's anarchy from there. But you'll get a little bit of that, and he is the master. When I would venture to guarantee that possibly by the end of the show, but definitely by the end of the day, I will have a website for you with direct links for tickets. You will absolutely be able to start buying them today and start sucking them up. Let your buddies know, April 10, BT and Sal Live. That's going to be great. Wow, I can't wait for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. Especially, so let's see here. Yeah, I know the Yankees start in San Francisco, so you're talking late March. Boy, wouldn't it be glorious? Now, I don't really expect this because I don't love the Yankees starting pitching to start the season. But, oh, man, just, hey, if the content gods are shining on me that day, the Mets will be 3-7, and the Yankees will be like 9-1. Because the last time we did the show, what do you think Sal did? Comes out with the King Cohen garb, the robe, the scepter, the music. So that's going to be an absolute blast. We'll have some wild stuff planned for you. Cannot wait. Really excited about that. All right, what do we got here? I want to get into Cohen in a minute. Got something on Breece Hall as well. At Mr. Paula Inc. there, or Paulie Inc. J-Rod versus Bada Bing. No, it's Bada Booms, I believe. I don't know if it's plural. I think it's Bada Booms.
I think it's Booms. I think it's Booms.
So it is plural. Okay. Plural. So it's not Bada Boom, but it's definitely not Bada Bing. I mean, maybe we can have it at the Bing. I mean, that would be freaking awesome.
Get Tony, get Chris, Paulie, man.
Yeah, everybody. You got that little back room. That'll be the green room. Adriana's office. That's the back room.
With what he hit him with a chain in that episode. He hits like a bouncer with a chain or something that.
Because of the ice, right?
Yeah.
He was whatever that stooge's name was. I forget his name. J-Rod versus Bada Bing cage match. No holds. But we're not looking to make this into a fight. I mean, what are you talking about? A cage match? No. I want my guy, J-Rod, and I want Bada Booms. I want these guys to unite at some point. I've said that. The object here, I mean, the main mission is to have this explode. But, secondarily, as a subset of the Unleashed family growing and just taking over the world, is that I want J-Rod and Bada Booms to be able to do their own thing and then for them to become stars on YouTube. That's what I want.
Appreciate it. I mean, listen, we got to get to work. We got to start, building out that social presence. But yeah, I think, I personally, him and I have kind of gone back and forth on messages, kind of just niceties, just being like, hey, loving what you're doing. There you go. Kind of that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Excited to keep building this kind of Unleashed universe, seeing what other characters come up.
Yes. And a question for you. Who reached out to whom first? Did you reach out to the Boom? He did.
So he reached out to me. So I guess it started off, we both kind of followed each other on Twitter at a similar time.
Who followed whom first?
He followed me first. I'll give him that.
Hey, he's proactive. I gotta like that.
Big time.
How come you're not following people first?
I'm a little slow, and when his popped up, hit him with the follow. There we go.
Yeah.
He liked the tweet I had about Brian Scalabrine. So that's how I saw him. And then Instagram after our show with Sal, he was just like, hey, loving what you guys are doing. Keep up the great work. And I hit him with the same thing back. So
he seems like a good guy. Although sometimes he seems like a good dude. Sometimes I worry about his health. I mean, early on, when we had Sal on Unleashed, I'm like, you can't help yourself, dude. You got to go after your producer, huh? You always got to get those jabs in, But it seems like Bada Booms has a tough exterior. So we will find out. Hold on. I know it's not the best way to do this here, but yep. All right, let me work on this today. By the end of the day, I'll have it all figured out. I have to see what the All right, so yeah, very confident tickets will be. I might have to amend that slightly because I left a few things out there that you don't need to know logistically. I guarantee tickets will be on sale today. I'm going to push that to tomorrow. I'm going to amend that slightly, but we got the venue, we got the day. All right, Stevie Cohen, keep those judge comments coming in there, right? Steve Cohen. So there were a couple of things that Steve Cohen said. One really confused me, and one I'm just not sure if I believe. This is not a crush Steve Cohen segment. I like Steve Cohen. And now, I mean, eventually Steve Cohen's going to have to win a championship for him to really be as regal as some people think that he is. But, I mean, let's face it, compared to previous Mets ownership, I mean, this guy's a rock star. I mean, at least you know that you're rooting for the Mets and not the Brooklyn Dodgers anymore. You know what I mean? Or 50 cents on the dollar baseball team. He has elevated the profile. He's done a lot of cool things, retired numbers. He's restored the pride. He's a Mets fan. I've got a lot of good. I don't really have anything bad to say about Steve Cohen, really. I think he's a good owner who's got a chance to be great. He's shown pivot points, like when he bought a minor league system a couple of years back when he got rid of the veteran pitchers. All right, hey, you can have them, but I need some prospects. I'll eat the money. I'll eat some of it. Our prospects stink. Our minor league system is awful. It's barren. It's devoid of any real desirable talent. That's got to change. Bang, that changed. Mets now have one of the top 2 or 3, depending upon the outlet. There's varying ones, whatever. Kind of like the college polls, maybe a slot here up, slot down. Mets have a very good system that will number one, that enable them to get Peralta, which was great. That will put them at the front of the table with Skubal when he's dealt, not if, when he's dealt. So I think he's doing a lot. Stadium looks great. Again, changed the entrance there. It was very Brooklyn Dodgers oriented. You can't have it, dude. You're not the Brooklyn Dodgers. You're the Mets, So I like what he's doing here. But let me first get the point up about not the captain stuff, J-Rod. The other one about the playoffs. This just confused me. And I like the first part of it. Yeah, that's the mandate. Got to make the playoffs, right? Sure. I mean, I missed the playoffs the last 2 years. Steve Cohen, keep it up there. Dude, where were you in 2024? Hey, you were a step away from the World Series. So, again, I'm not going to crush him on that, but he had to misspeak. He had to. Got to make the playoffs, right? Yeah, you're damn right with this payroll. That is your right to say that. That is your right to expect that. And if the Mets don't get off to a good start with this new roster and this reconfiguration, I've said it before, is one of my 10 burning questions going into the New York baseball season. Hey, if it doesn't look right, I'm getting rid of Mendy because year 1 was really good, year 2 was awful. Now we're going to kind of start splitting that difference here, and I do think the Mets will be good this year. Not great, but good. I do think the Mets will be a playoff team this year, and I do think that the Mets upside, especially if they were to get a Skubal or something like that. I mean, then maybe you can mess around and win something here, but I don't know how you say that. Like, put that up again, J-Rod. It's so simple, and he's a very coherent, very intelligent man, not to mention successful. Got to make the playoffs, right? Yep, that part's great. I mean, I missed the playoffs the last 2 years. No, you didn't, dude. You played great against the Phillies. Vientos was a stud. The place was rocking. What are you talking about? Sorry, so that thing, again, I can't really go anywhere else than what I just said. Like, I'm not going to call him stupid. I'm not going to say the guy probably misspoke. That's a weird thing to misspeak about. It's not like it was 7 years ago. Like, if there was a 7-year drought, you can get off there, J-Rod. Boy, that looks good. Look at how fresh that looks. Looks better than the light that's reflected here. If he was like, if he's, say if he said, if there was a 7-year drought and he said 8 or 6, like if he was, that's a little more understandable when you get past half a decade. You were just there. But we're going to move on. This part, I'm not so sure if I'm willing to move on from, because I don't know if I believe him. Let's slap it up there, Mr. J-Rod. Let's see it. That was good timing. That a boy. As long as I'm owning the team, there will never be a team captain. That was my decision. My view is the locker room's unique, and let the locker room sort it out year in and year out. Keep that up there for a minute. As long as I'm owning the team, there will never be a team captain. Well, first of all, I wouldn't even say this about Cohen. I would say this about any owner that comes out and states this. Like, why be so definitive? Like, what if, I'm just throwing this out there, what if Carson Bench is the real deal and, has this David Wright trajectory in terms of, I know different position, obviously, but like that kind of an impact, like that statistical trajectory, that leadership, steadiness trajectory resonates that way with the fans' trajectory. I don't know why you would like cap this out. I don't get that. There's never going to be a team captain. Why not? So that's the first thing that, again, I'm not really understanding. It's his team. I mean, do whatever you want. And he could also amend that, like I amended the timeline for the second BT and Sal live show. He could always come back in a year and say, you know what, or 3 years if it's Benj or somebody else, like, hey, you know what, I didn't really think that this was something I wanted to do, but so-and-so has exemplified everything we're about, blah, blah, blah. You can take it down, J-Rod. Thanks, buddy. Like, and then he can pivot from that because it's his team, but it's certainly well within his right. So, again, not going to go nuts there. I just don't know why you need to be so definitive and cap it so hard. Number one. Number two, which to me is really number one, and this I will question. I don't know if I believe him. Not that he'll never name a captain, but I believe, and I could be wildly off base with this, so let me at least submit that as a real possibility. Like, okay, we're all going to make, I think the Jets are going to win 20. Well, I think the Jets are going to lose 30-10. The Giants are going to lose 30-17 against the Eagles. That's a prediction that you're going to get wrong half the time. I'm not talking about that, and there's no need to apologize for that, right? I want to be fair here. So this is a different interpretation. This is a different processing of what he's saying, and this is a different opinion that I am formulating based off of what he said. I believe that he wanted to make Francisco Lindor the captain. I believe the longer Francisco Lindor has been with the Mets, the less convicted he is in his leadership qualities. That's what I believe. Now, I know that everybody's going to dump on that and Lindor, should only hit right-handed. Say whatever you want. I couldn't give two shits less. I'm talking about this. You got to look at this pragmatically, all right? The Mets led a lot of good play. Granted, they were flawed in certain aspects for sure. Pete Alonso, good player, gone. Brandon Nimmo, good player, gone. McNeil, purposeful player, gone. Like, there's nowhere else to turn. And then you look at, I can only react to the stories here, and, whether it was Tommy Pham a couple of years ago, whether it was Mendoza the other day saying it's been a little bit too corporate. Maybe that's code for something else. He didn't want to, smash the former dynamics of his team. So use the word corporate. It's less biting. It's less critical. All right. But if you're saying it's too corporate, you're saying something's wrong. All right. Whether it's how Lindor and Soto kind of talked about each other the other day, complimentary for sure. I'm not trying to start trouble where there's no trouble to be started, but I believe, everybody was, now it doesn't mean that they have to do this, but everybody and their mother was saying Lindor's going to be the captain. Lindor's going to be the captain. Lindor's the captain. Lindor's the pseudo captain. All right, fine. Well, if that's the case, why did it reportedly anger Nimmo? And I think that's part of the reason why Nimmo's gone. Now he's also a bit of a diminished player. I don't think Nimmo's as good as Met fans think. He's not on base as much. A little injury prone. I think that's a smart move getting rid of him. And what they turned it into was a good baseball move for me by David Stearns. But I just think there's a little something. If you lift up the hood of the Mets, and I don't mean like the windshield wiper, stuff that we could all do. I do that, right? When you got to fill it up. But some intricacies within the engine that we aren't equipped to really chronicle or fix, if you will. So it's just my theory. It's just my belief. Now, based on a lot of circumstances and a lot of noise that's been around the Mets, let me get this straight. Everybody believes, because me and Sal were talking about this, and Sal brought it up to his credit first, and he was right. And it got hijacked like a lot of stuff does. But we were talking about, I forget the exact word he used. I don't want to misrepresent him, but something like something was off or whatever it was. I think there was an element of toxicity. I think toxic was one of the words that was used. Either way, that was years ago, and nothing's improved. So you tell me, common sense. Let's apply a little bit of it. Let's just be rational. This is unemotional. This is me just looking at the situation. The Mets had an unexpectedly horrendous year last year. Now, I know a lot of it was attributable to the pitching. I get that. I'm not leaving this all on Lindor's doorstep. He's a really good player. But, there were a lot of meaningful pieces that were deleted. He's still here, and he should be because he's better than all those guys. Better than Pete, better than McNeil for sure, better than Nimmo for sure, no doubt. He should still be here. But we're kind of running out of runway here. Like, eventually, you got to get this thing up in the air. And if you're the captain, if you're the leader that everybody professes you to be, then why are there always these problems? And I'm not even talking about the literal C on the jersey. Like, you don't need a captain in baseball. This is not hockey where, it's generation, the C, the A on the sweater. Like, that's real stuff. And I couldn't stand, I thought it was corny when Keith Hernandez wore the C on his jersey. I don't like that on a baseball jersey. I don't care what jersey it is. I don't care what player it is. If Aaron Judge came out and did that, I'd crush him. I just never liked it. It's unnecessary. Gary Carter was a captain, led differently, didn't have the C necessarily. But, like, I don't think that you need that outward visible acknowledgement that somebody is the captain. But there's just a lot here because I've never heard Steve Cohen talk about that like that before. I never once heard Steve Cohen shut down the noise because the captain talk has been percolating for years. And Steve Cohen never once felt compelled to come out and say with almost defiantly, with such conviction, as long as I own the team, there's never going to be a captain. And I can't help but deduce that part of it is to alleviate any possible resentment from Soto if you name Lindor the captain or vice versa. Like, that's my read on the situation. That's my read. And I know a lot of people are going to think that's wildly off base, and that's fine. That's just my opinion. And that has been watching and weighing in on this situation on a day-to-day basis for years, following the Mets and obviously the Yankees, as I do, and as I have, and as I will continue to do here on Unleashed. So I'm not buying it. It's not crush-worthy. I just think it's a little bit disingenuous. I find the timing odd. I find the lack of wiggle room odd. But again, that's what I think. Let's see here. Whatever. Big bot zone. George Steinbrenner's ghost is working for the Dodgers. Fantastic. Well, speaking of the Dodgers, too, this is the other thing. Now, this is more of a baseball thing here. But I'm watching Cohen, right? And I like the line when he said, hey, I could spend two. I mean, that's galvanizing if you're a Mets fan. No doubt. And you pivoted with Bichette, tried to get Tucker. He's spending. Nobody's doubting that. Now, until you win, it's a little hollow, but that criticism is gone. That has dried up years ago for the Met fan. Now it's about Stearns delivering what he was brought here to deliver, and that's a championship, and we'll see. We're not going to flush through it today. Who knows? Last year, not good. Year before was good. We'll see. But Steve Cohen sitting there in the dugout yesterday down at Port St. Lucie talking about the Mets and the Dodgers, like the Dodgers are a thorn in his side. Hey, Steve, I got news for you. You had 9 teams in baseball who had a better record than you, man. I mean, you're sitting there like you lost in Game 7 to the Dodgers, and the Mets won 99 regular season games. It's a little delusional, man. You won 83 games. You just dismantled the entire team. Don't worry about the Dodgers. Worry about the Phillies, who won 13 more games than you did. What, they have 96 wins? I just thought it was a little presumptuous. Dodgers. And I get it, big picture, like the discussion point with the Dodgers pertaining to Major League Baseball and how they operate and what they do and how they are just so motivated to win, and they take the revenue that they make and they reinvest it, and they go and they've got the Japanese market covered. You got Ohtani, you got Betts, you got Freeman, you got all these guys you brought in as pitchers. You got a sick lineup, back-to-back championships, dynasty. I understand that. How about you worry about winning the division? Can you start with that? Because even when they had, and it was a really good run, and it was fun, and it was unexpected. But even when they beat the Phillies and lost to the Dodgers in 2024 in the NLCS, you won 89 games. I mean, you're sitting here like you're on top of the mountain and you're just trying to crack through and you just can't quite figure out the Dodgers. The Dodgers scored what, 10 runs almost every game, it seemed like. J-Rod, do me a favor. Do me a favor. Go to the 2024 NLCS, right? And just read me the scores. Almost everyone except like the aggregate score, I could be off, but it was like 30-7. Maybe it's not exactly that, but I mean, it was like the varsity versus the JV. And that's okay because the Yankees look like a JV in the World Series against the Dodgers. The Dodgers do that to people. What were the scores? Go game one. Go ahead.
Yeah, let's see. It was 9-0 game one.
Yep,
Dodgers. 7-3 game two, Mets.
16. Okay. Yep. 7-2
game
Mets.
Three, 8-0 Dodgers.
8-0 Dodgers. Yep.
Game 4, 10-2 Dodgers.
I mean, come on, man.
Game 5, 12-6 Mets. And then game 6, 10-5 Dodgers.
Yeah, I mean, the Mets started to get their hitting shoes on a little bit there, but the Dodgers clearly better. It's not a knock at that the Mets didn't beat the Dodgers in the NLCS in 2024. It's just a very interesting perspective to take. Now, by the way, I would also worry about the Braves, who were banged up beyond comprehension a year ago. How hurt they were, how many players their core of their team missed basically the entire season. I mean, Austin Riley missed a couple of months. Acuna played 80-something games. Everybody was hurt. Everybody. So I do think that the Mets have a real chance. This is not to shit on the Mets. I think the Mets have a chance. I think the Mets will be a playoff team. I think they'll be a wild card team. I don't think they're going to win the division. Now, if they were to get Skubal, changes everything. And if they were to get Skubal, with Skubal and Peralta and McLean, 1, 2, 3, I mean, now you're talking about a team, as long as the offense is just, fairly productive and the defense is better like they envision it will be. And I agree with that based on the upgrade. I'm not worried about Polanco at first, or I'm not even really that worried about Bo Bichette at third base. You got 4 shortstops. You got 4 shortstops in the infield. You got to catch the baseball. Luis Roberts is going to be a hell of a center fielder. I think Benj is going to be a really good defensive right fielder. And then Soto will be slightly below average in left like he was in right. But I think that will be solved for the most part. And it was almost like arrogance or just a little, again, presumptuous. I'm going to use the word presumptuous. Dodgers this, Dodgers that. Dude, you won 83 games. You got Juan Soto, all right? You won that. You won the battle. You took him you didn't steal him. You took him from the Yankees. Soto had the choice. Stay in the Bronx, go to Queens. Pick Queens. Live with it, deal with it. Yankee fans, stop crying and stop whining. He's a Met. And his first year with the Mets, they didn't even win 85 games. So I didn't love the tone there. Again, I'm not even trying to crush Cohen, because if you just tune it in, I hope you heard the beginning of it. I really like Steve Cohen, and I think he's a good owner. And I wish Hal had some of his tendencies. I wish he was predisposed to go for it the way that Cohen is going for it. That doesn't mean I'm going to buy everything he says. Anyway, so I think it's been an adjustment in the clubhouse, like in the minds Mets. And the other thing too, one more thing about the captaincy, right? So imagine if they named Lindor captain and then they trade him. Like, I think eventually Lindor is going to be, not this year, eventually Francisco Lindor is going to be an ex-Met. I do not believe that he fulfills the life of his contract. J-Rod, look it up. I know he's got about 5 more years to go. I'm pretty sure. Can you look up, go to, whatever database you want. I usually go to baseballreference.com. Just type in Lindor. Let me know what he's got on the length of his deal, buddy. Can you do that for me? At City Moons, Acuna is due for a monster season. Yeah. I mean, God, what he steal 90 bases a couple of years, whatever he did. I don't even know what he did. Insane. Like, I think the Braves have more talent than the Mets, but I thought the Braves had more talent than the Mets last year, and the Mets finished ahead of them in the standings. So I also think the Marlins are getting a little competitive with some of their young players. Listen, this is not to make some wild, baseless predictions or crush somebody unnecessarily. I just don't really believe. I don't believe it. I don't believe the repositioning here by Cohen of the captaincy. It seemed like it was such a central thing for the Mets organization, and now devoutly stating, that's it. Nope. As long as I own the team, never going to have a captain. Not going to happen. Well, I'm not buying it. All right, so what's Lindor's contract again? Go ahead.
So it is 10 years, $341 million, and it ends in 2031.
Yeah. All right. 2031. So think about this, guys. I mean, that's crazy. What is he at? 27 a year? Do you have the actual AAV breakdown or no?
34 a year is the average.
That's right. 34. What am I saying? All right. So 2031. Is there an opt out? Is there a team option on that last year or no? It's got to be some sort of option. I would think.
I'd imagine there's an option. It doesn't.
It's got to be
on Sport Rack. That's the site I'm on right now. It doesn't say an option.
Spotrac.
All it says is 2032 on unrestricted free agent.
Okay, so either way. So think about this, guys. You've got the 2026 season, got the 2027 season, 28, 29, 30, and then obviously 31 is fully vested, 6 years guaranteed. Now, when the Mets got him, I thought it was a great move. Mets needed that infusion of a big name, middle of the diamond, star, charisma, postseason player, postseason performer, energy, bounce, again, style, like that stuff matters. I mean, if you can't play, it doesn't matter. But if you can, like he can, it matters. And I thought it was the right move there. Now, it didn't get off on the right foot with Baez with that nonsense, but they got rid of Baez fast. I also think that, like, talk about a runway here for Stearns. And all right, this is year 3 now. I'm a David Stearns believer. I'm a David Stearns fan. I like that Cohen's letting him construct the team the way he wants to. That's why you hire somebody to hire somebody and then not let them do what they used to do that inspired you to hire them in the first place is the height of idiocy. I just don't get that. And that happens a lot. Hey, this person's so good at his job. I'm going to bring him in. I'm going to give him a boatload of cash. And I'm going to give him all the juice and the power in the world. Yeah, but then I'm not going to let him really do what he used to do. So you shouldn't have hired him. And I'm not just talking about Stearns. I'm talking about any workplace, right? Sometimes you'll get people in my business get hired for big money, and then there's complaints, or they try to dial them down, or they try to, reposition. Well, then why the hell did you give them a couple $1 million a year to do the job that they were doing somewhere else? Why'd you do that? That's stupid. That's bad business. So I just say that because we talk about Stearns and the pressure, and I know that he's the GM, so he's responsible for everything. And Lindor is, one of 9 players that hit every night. Granted, behind Soto, he's their best. But there's an expiration point with him as well. I mean, the My Girl and all that stuff, it's great. Great energy. Is it going to sound the same if in 2 years the Mets haven't cut through and, there's a little, I don't know, they just don't seem to be on the World Series trajectory? Are there going to still be 40,000 people in Queens singing My Girl when he comes up to bat? Probably not, because you're going to be exhausted by it, because we've already had a lot of Lindor discussions. Now, to be fair, some were dumb, including some by me, when I said that he should only hit from one side of the plate. And I owned it. I manned up. I was also looking at numbers in terms of bat speed and performance from that side of the plate that helped me come to that conclusion, as erroneous as it was. But, you can't be that. You can't have that profile with that kind of energy and not win and have people accept it year in and year out. I know it's not quite the same like with the NBA. Like if you have one superstar and he just can't quite cut through, it's going to be more demonstrative because, one player on the NBA and on the court is going to obviously impact one guy who gets 600-700 at bats a year versus somebody who's taking 20 shots a night and their usage rate is through the roof. I get it. It's not the same comparison, but it's not that far off. Like there's a limit as to how much you guys will continue to buy. So I just think that position by Cohen yesterday is partly fueled by, I'm not saying that there's beef between Lindor and Soto. I'm not saying that at all. Not one bit. But, maybe a less than optimal relationship. Like you could have no beef, but still not be as tight as you wish that they were. As you wish that they were. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's pretty apparent. And I hesitate to do this because I always try to separate Yanks and Mets. But when something fits, I'm going to bring it in. I do think that you look at the energy and the relationship of somebody like Judge and Bellinger, who just got there. I think it's very apparent. I think it's a very easy day-to-day work relationship. I think they flow. I think they vibe. I think they complement each other really well. Can you say that about Soto and Lindor? I can't say that. So we'll see. Let me get a couple of texts here. I want to get to something on Breece Hall as well. Today's a very big day in the NFL. You can start tagging people, etc. Let's see. How about this here? Yep, captain's a born leader. Others gravitate to. Not somebody who's looking to be captain. Before Judge became captain, There wasn't a whisper that he wanted it. Too many rumblings. Lindor wants it. Yeah, I mean, again, I want to be fair to the situation. I mean, why wouldn't you want it? Like, yeah, I mean, we've had captains, on teams that I've been on, and sometimes I've been a captain, sometimes I haven't. I always aspired to, when a coach named the captain, to be in a position to be the captain through work ethic and through performance and stuff. But, that it was never the main motivation. It was to just have a good season. I don't know if he's really trying to be that guy. And if he is, he's doing a really shitty job of being a captain. He just is. You can't tell me that there's not that the reason that Pete and Nimmo and McNeil are gone is all derived from baseball sensibility. You can't tell me that. You can. I won't believe it. I choose not to buy it. I don't think that that's accurate. Now, I'm not saying it's 10% baseball. They did what I've been saying that they should do. Been saying trade McNeil. She stinks. I've been banging on Nimmo, in terms of his defensive prowess and rag arm and, depreciating on-base percentage or decreasing on-base percentage. And obviously, Pete was a much more complex conversation because he's a great, prodigious power hitter. But his weaknesses, I would point out, because I don't think that you win championships with guys at first base, who can't run, who do strike out a lot, and aren't reliable defensively. I know he scoops the ball. I know. But I always thought that there was a little bit more to it than that. And it goes to, several players like a FAM or other innuendo, other industry speculation. There's just a lot of smoke around the Mets chemistry. Like, come on. And the one guy who's still here, again, he should be here because he's the better of all those players. But now there's nowhere else to point. Like, Soto's going to bang 40 bombs and hit 280, whatever he's going to, maybe more, and have an OPS over 1,000. Like, Soto's going to be Soto. He'll butcher a few balls in left. He'll come in on a few liners that he shouldn't over his head. He'll make a gaff or two on the bases, but he's going to bang. He's going to mesh, and he's going to be consistently reliable. I don't think you'll have any issues with Soto at all. And he made a couple issues. Last year, we were dogging him because he wasn't hustling, and that was justified. And he wasn't clutch, which is more of a baseball thing. But, like, there's nowhere else to point. You know what I mean? You're not going to get on Luis Robert if things go awry, or Brett Beatty, or Simeon. All right, Bichette might feel some heat if he's kicking balls and he's not hitting, which he will hit. But that's the main target. There's just nowhere else to turn. So, in a long way, I like Steve Cohen. I really do. I think he's a good owner. I was confused by the 2 years playoffs. That was just, I misspoke. I'm going to give him that. We all do it on occasion. I'm not buying the other stuff about the captaincy. I don't believe it. All right, let me get to Breece Hall a little bit here. So today's a very interesting day. Let me see if I got any more texts on the BT and Sal Live 2.0. Okay. No. So what do we do with Breece Hall here? Breece Hall is a very interesting figure. Jets have so many holes. Jets have a lot of money. Now, I've been saying $77 million, and these are all projections, but just so you guys know, I saw something last night when I was getting ready for the show today, between 79 and 83 million. So it varies in terms of available or anticipated available cap space. And there's a couple of things they could do to fudge the numbers, whatever, rework, restructure, all that boring minutia with NFL contracts. They got a shitload of money to spend, and they got a lot of problems to fix. That's the short version. Now, Breece Hall, starting today and running up, I believe it's March 3rd. I just want to double check that. Let's see here. Yes, through March 3rd. So now you can start tagging players. What do you do with Breece Hall? Well, first of all, some numbers and some parameters. The expected cost for Breece Hall or for a running back on the franchise tag, and there's going to be a couple of good running backs, including Kenneth Walker, who's not going to be tagged by Seattle. Interesting. So his market might be a little suppressed, like if Walker was, and there's a couple other ones too. Like if it was just Breece Hall, he might get a little bit more money than maybe he will. Either way, $14.5 million, the expected cost for running back via the franchise tag. Now, they can obviously tag him and then work on a long-term deal. That's obvious. They can also do the transition tag, which is a couple of $1 million less than $11.7 million, which I know would be a lot more palatable for the Jets. Like, listen, Breece Hall's really good. And I've kind of changed my tune. I want Breece Hall to remain here. I was actually open to trading him last year. Like when they were trading Sauce and Q, I'm like, dude, just finish the job. Get whatever you could. Kansas City came with a 4th-round pick, and once I found out what it was, I didn't love that. Like I needed at least a 3rd. So I thought Muji showed good restraint and was willing to engage. And if it was a better deal, they may have moved on from Breece Hall. But see, the 11.7 via the transition tag is interesting because, you're committing, but if somebody comes with a higher offer, you've got the ability to match it. So it gives you all sorts of leverage where he's not out the door. And if there's something that you deem irresponsible, 13, 14, 15, I'm just throwing numbers out per year, too much guaranteed, length too much, whatever it might be, well, then you can say, you know what, a little bit too expensive for us. We have too many things to fix. We're not ready to win yet. For a position like that, it's not justifiable cutting that kind of check, which I do understand here. I mean, I obviously do. He's also shown, though, durability, and that was the issue with Breece Hall. He's had 3 straight years where he's played at least 16 games, one of which he played 17. First year, obviously, over 1,000 yards. And, outside of Garrett Wilson, and you can even make the case based on the inability for the quarterbacks to do anything, you can make the case that Breece Hall is actually the Jets' best offensive weapon. Even though I think, I think Garrett Wilson's a better wide receiver, if this makes sense, than Breece Hall is a running back. Like, I think there's, I just, that's close, actually. It's really hard to judge Garrett because he just never has a reliable air attack. I mean, really. I mean, he's had some big years with Band-Aids. So he's a stud, banged up last year, missed a lot of time. What should the Jets do? Well, listen, if you listen to yesterday's show, I want the Jets to go defense at number 2, and I would really like the Jets to go defense at number 16. They don't need an offensive lineman. Could they take a receiver at 16 to complement Garrett? Sure. And I'd be open to that as well. But for me, looking at the mock drafts and looking whether it's Reese from Ohio State, whether it's Caleb Downs, and I would take Caleb Downs at 2. I mean, people talking about John Harbaugh, was salivating over Caleb Downs, and rightfully so, when he joined Frances's podcast the other day. I got no problem taking him at number 5. I got no problem taking him at number 2. Like, if you think somebody's going to be a superstar, transcendent, now you better be right, transcendent player, and that's truly your football conviction, take him. I would alter that for a running back. We went through this with Saquon. That's like the one position I'd probably say, But obviously, corner at 2, we see it a lot. Tackle at 2, left tackle, D tackle, edge rush, boom. Haven't really seen a tight end at 2. That's a bit early. There's a couple of spots I'd say, we sure about this? But I think if the Jets go defense 2 and 16, if you retain Breece Hall, I think it really enables you to do that. Because if you lose Breece Hall, you're not going to draft a running back with 2 or 16. There's nobody. I don't think it's worth it. And I don't think they would do it. So you've got to at least have the semblance of an offense. And he receives the ball very well. And he's a hell of a runner. And the zone, run scheme, not to get 2 X's and O's on you, but that Frank Reich is going to run, I think is going to suit Breece Hall incredibly well. So I'm not looking to get rid of him. I'm looking to keep him. Now, I think what you do is, first of all, I'd be stunned if the Jets don't tag him. Like, if the Jets don't tag him on any level and he just walks out the building, they're idiots. Like, you could tell me, we could have a discussion. Do you go full tag or do you go the transition tag, which is obviously 11.7 versus 14.6? That's debatable, but I at least need to know that I control the ability to retain him if I deem something irresponsible. And more directly, it gives me a runway to come up with a number that's going to satisfy Breece and, retain him for a couple of, he's going to be 25. He's not even 25 yet. He turns 25 at the end of May. He's 24. And because he missed some time with his knee, he hasn't taken those hits that a lot of young running backs do. Now, if he hadn't retained his burst, I'd say, well, it's not, but he has. So he was shielded for about a year and a half, not getting the carries that he would have if he didn't get hurt in Denver all those years ago when he ripped up his ACL. So you'd have to think he's fresher than most running backs in terms of wear and tear. He's obviously a proven performer. I think he wants to be a Jet. And I think you find a way to negotiate a number to keep him, but also to keep that number down from whether it's 14.6. I mean, he's going to get, I would think he's going to get 11. I'd have to think that's a starting point. So the transition tag would just be basically see what's out there. I think you slap him with the franchise tag. Matter of fact, I'm almost positive that they will. I don't know when, but you have until March 3rd. You slap it down, and then you negotiate, and you come up with something that's more palatable financially for you. So you're not giving them, 13, 14 a year. You stretch things out. You stretch things out over the course of a 3-year deal, and maybe that 4th year is window dressing, and that's how you attack the Breece Hall situation. That's what they should do. That's what I believe that they will do. I just can't imagine a situation where Breece Hall is in Kansas City and the Jets have nothing to show for it. Like they didn't have a chance to retain him. I mean, that would be idiotic. I mean, there's no way Muji's doing that. So I feel pretty good about that. And I wasn't sure about Breece Hall because my mentality for a while was, well, you're not a good team. Running backs are a dime a dozen, but that's kind of shifted. Think about the Super Bowl. That's kind of shifted a little bit. Think about Saquon the year before, right, with the Philly, winning the championship, being a beast, doing what he did. I think that the appreciation for running backs is kind of not quite to where it was like when Tiki and those guys played, Sean Alexander, Marshall Faulk, and those dudes. I'm not saying it's going to ever get back to that point. I don't think it will. Games change too much. It's too vertical. But my old mindset was let him go because why are you going to invest that kind of money in somebody who's not going to change the bottom line? But you still need to have a competitive team, man. And you'd have to think that like the Jets are going to at some point, maybe it's Ty Simpson. I don't know what they're going to do. But like at some point, there's going to be an experiment with a younger quarterback. I don't mean in round 5 or 6. I would think somewhat earlier. And if that young man's on the field, you've got to have a proven commodity in the backfield to at least throw some swing passes to and avoid getting your brains beat in. So I do think that Breece is going to stay here. The only thing that I can't really calculate, I don't know if he's just so rubbed off by the losing that he would take 90 cents on the dollar somewhere else to win. I don't know that. And if that's the case, God bless him, because that tells me he wants to win, and I would respect that. You know what I mean? The Jets should call up the Colts and try to trade for wide receiver Michael Pittman. There's a report he might be a cap casualty. I mean, listen, yeah, but if you're the Indianapolis Colts, you want to do business with Muji? He just bent you over and played you. I mean, think about that. Now, they didn't know that Jones was going to get hurt and all that stuff, but think about where that draft pick was. I think it was like 28 or 29 when the Jets actually made that move, and think about where it finished up. Every week, it was like better, 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 better. So they're probably pissed off. Now, that should not preclude them, if you're a smart organization, from doing another deal if you believe it's a favorable deal. Like I always say that, there's a thought like the Yankees, the Mets, or the Jets and the Giants, or even like, say, I don't know, the Jets and the Bills, or the Giants and the Eagles, or the Niners and Seattle, or the Raiders and the Chiefs, or whatever, the Dodgers and the Giants in baseball, like rivalries, Knicks Pacers, the old rivalries, Knicks Bulls, Knicks Heat, like that. A lot of people like, oh, I can't do a trade with them. They're the enemy. They're the rival. Yeah, but if it's a trade that's going to enrich your organization and you believe in your process and your decision-making, why would you take less from somebody else? Why would you do that? Just to avoid the possible PR hit that you got played by your rival? That's stupid. That's shallow thought. I wouldn't do it. I'll take the best deal. I don't care who it's with. James, 555K. What up, James SPT? What do you think of Sonny Styles for the Giants in the draft? It seems they never have good linebackers. I don't think that the Giants are interesting to me because Harbaugh's never had a pick this high, which is really appealing. And plus the roster's got some really good players, and you got the quarterback, and it's the Giants. So, and they paid you, and you've got all the power. So there's a no doubter for Harbaugh to take this job, and I think he's going to get it fixed very soon. I think they're going to make a move possibly for Lindenbaum, the former center for the Ravens. Like, I'd like to see the Jets being on that market, but I mean, think about that. If he's got a great rapport, and I think he might, if he's got a great relationship with Harbaugh, why wouldn't Harbaugh want him? He's terrific. He's in his mid-20s. He's a massive upgrade. And if there's familiarity there, I read something this morning. I think his win rate was like 97.9% on pass blocking. Now, part of that's also, well, I mean, it's not just derived from Lamar getting out of the pocket. Win rate is keeping them away as well. So that's a good stat. I don't know about linebacker. I think the Giants, I think they really will. If Caleb Downs is there at 5, I think they will take him. And I think that they should, because you have that third level infusion of what I think will ultimately be greatness. I think he will be phenomenal. Like, I hate Hall of Famer, geez, but I really do think that he's got that kind of talent, and it's only going to make the guys up front better. Yeah, they've been thin at linebacker for a while. Then I mean, listen, if Reese falls, I think the Jets probably wind up taking Reese. That's my guess now. I like him. I don't know if I'd be fully enamored with that pick. I would prefer Caleb Downs myself. I've said that, or trade out and maybe get somebody else. Maybe even the kid from Texas Tech, Reuben Baines, Florida. Other ways, it's early. There's other ways the Jets could go. But I feel great confidence saying if Downs is there at 5, they're taking him. And even if Reese is there at 5, I think that they would bypass Reese. They would take Downs, and that's what I would do, So I don't think the Jets going to mess this up. I don't know where this offseason goes. But like one of the things that is keeping me afloat here as a Jets fan, I think they've got a good general manager. I really do. Small sample, Muji has proven to be aggressive, smart. He's a forward thinker. I think he's got a modern approach to business. Those were big trades, man. That's like a basketball trade. In the middle of the season, you get rid of Sauce and Q and get what you got? Phenomenal. That took a willingness to take it on the chin because he knew they didn't even have much with those guys. He knew that they were going to get crushed on the scoreboard. Maybe not so much in the court of public opinion. I think more people were out on Sauce than they were in. I think the year before it was totally different. But I think the more you watch Sauce, unless you just, fanboy, guy didn't tackle, light, he's getting hurt a little bit, never made picks. So what the hell are we paying him for? If you can't tackle, you got to at least flip the field once in a while. And he just didn't do it. And with Quinnen, who's a hell of a player and played a lot better in Dallas, what a stunner when he got there, more competitive situation. I would have preferred to keep Q if I could, but he's been here long enough. All right, let's try something else. So it was the big moves that he showed a willingness and an aptitude to make, but also some of those ancillary moves early. Like he brought in some players that I didn't even really know about. I'm like, that's interesting. Even Brownlee early from the Titans, it worked out for a minute, and then he kind of fizzled out. But special teams players cutting guys on the return game, bringing guys in who actually did really, really well. I think the Jets have a good GM. I don't know about the coach. Yeah, I don't care if you have the best general manager. You could have like Jerry West. If Jerry West was as good at football as he was in basketball, if you don't have a quarterback, it doesn't matter. We all know that. So interesting, exciting time. I'm really looking forward to the draft. Jets have a lot of equity. Giants only have 2 picks in the first 100, so it's more important. Jets have to nail it as well. But the urgency for that 5th pick for the Giants, they can't get a guy. Put it this way. We've talked a lot about Kayvon Thibodeau on The Fan, me and Sal, right? And he's okay. He's fine. Did he really deliver what you thought he was going to deliver? Is Kayvon Thibodeau a game wrecker? The answer is no. You know that, and I know that. Now, I just happen to know that, and we happen to know that before you wanted to admit it, which is why everybody was getting on us. I'll never forget the horrendous Jets-Giants game a couple of years ago in the rain, right? Where the Giants didn't let DeVito throw the ball. They're going backwards. Wow. That's one of the all-time worst games ever. And Thibodeau, what was it, a strip sack or something? And then, of course, the Jets got lucky and somehow figured a way to win. But I remember the announcers, they were saying, they were even clowning us. I think it was Catalan, who I know and I've worked with and I like a lot. And I don't know, whomever was doing the game is was it Tiki? I don't think it was Teague. Whomever it was, it's been a theme on social. Oh, Kayvon Thibodeau can play. The little zing there. Yeah. You want Kayvon Thibodeau, extended for 4 years? You still want that? All that smack that you guys were talking to me and Sal. Oh, you guys are so wrong on Kayvon Thibodeau. Even if you think about the genesis of the beef, and I say beef, he's my guy. I love him. We smoothed it out. Sal and Carl are fine. But that's what happened with Carl. That was the Kayvon Thibodeau stuff. Now, I know we flashed more last year, but, you shouldn't be flashing at this point. You should be wrecking games when you're a top 10 pick, and your job is to get to the quarterback. I don't want to hear about getting around the quarterback, which is why finally when Abdul Carter started playing better last year, instead of he leads rookies in pressures. Wow, fantastic. How about you put your helmet in his chest and actually get him on the turf instead of being in the neighborhood? That's what you were drafted to do, and he started to do it. And I never once wavered from Abdul Carter. That young man is going to be a superstar. Kayvon Thibodeau will not be. Doesn't mean he can't be a useful player, but when you think about this, you ask Giant fans, you think about pick up the option. Should they extend him? I mean, you're getting a massive split. And I think at this point, most of you believe that Giants eventually and ultimately will be better served by not paying him big money. I don't think they're going to. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't pay him that money. So it's funny. It's funny how this stuff comes back up. A lot of the things that BT and Sal used to say, a lot of things have come to roost, Pretty prescient on our part, Hey, don't get mad at me. Don't get mad at us just because we had the balls to say things that you guys didn't want to hear or the aptitude to read something that was in the early stage and ultimately be right. Like, I'm not trying to be arrogant here, but you guys were coming at us and we loved it. We didn't give the more energy, the better. We were built for that. But my goodness, I mean, did we get anything wrong? No, I got the Lindor stuff wrong. I got the Lindor stuff wrong. All right, speaking of BT and Sal, we have the date. April 10th. It's a Friday night. BT and Sal Live 2.0. It is going to be absolute money. All right. So the tickets, let me read. This is a better way to read it, so I'm not looking down. All right. Work on the date. All right. Ticket price. It's at the Krasnov Theater. It is at the Tile Center on the LIU campus. I know that my guy Tooch has done shows there. I've already looked at the place because when he was getting ready to book it, I wanted to make sure, I liked it. Of course I trust him, but I wanted to weigh in, did my research, phenomenal venue, awesome spot, about 500 seats-ish, about the same capacity for the first BT and Sound Live show. So tickets will be on sale, I would imagine, tomorrow morning. And now we're going to start promoting the hell out of this. And now we're going to start structuring the show. And I can't wait. And the good thing is that me and Sal get to talk about it tomorrow night. I told you I'll be on Sal's show. All right. J-Rod, did I miss anything today? Anything jump out? Any opinions you want to weigh in on?
Let's see. Can't think of much. All I can say, super hyped for BT and Sal Live. Let's get some promo out for those tickets. Let's cut some videos. Let's cut some clips and let's get after it. Yeah, that's going to be fun.
There you go. Let me see here. I want to get a couple of more texts before we bounce here. I mentioned yesterday that we went to Medieval Times. Have you ever done that?
I've never been. I've heard funny things. I think I saw a skit about it a while ago, but no, how was that experience?
Phenomenal. I loved it. I know it's, corny 101, Medieval Times,
Sure.
But it was great, man. I loved it. The venue was awesome. And I think we got hosed because, what happens is you get assigned a color, right?
Okay.
You get assigned a color. And the one that we went to, I think it seats about 1,000 people. It's a big venue. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was thinking there might be 80 people. I don't know. We went to the 4 p.m. showing yesterday. My family and my son's best friend's family, really good friends of ours. Nice. Awesome. So it was I think there was 9 of us, right? And you walk in, it's Medieval Times, the armor, the sword. I didn't say swords. I started to say swords. And if you guys know that, you know what it's swords. So I stay corrected on that. Swords, not swords.
Swords.
Anyway, you walk in, you get a color, and then they come out, the knight on the horse, and so-and-so peasants or meet sir whomever, right? They talk with that real theatrical, I'm sure everybody's an aspiring actor that's doing it. And they come out, and each section has a color that they're assigned to. So we were blue, and while this is going on, they're doing jousting and all sorts of competitions, and then they finish it up. And I was trying to figure out. Now I know that the swords aren't sharp, I know that, but they're heavy as they have to be heavy. And I originally thought when they clank swords. Now some of it is, you get a bad wrestling move in the ring, that was not real.
Yeah.
All right, some of the falls are like that, and jumping off horses, which was wild. That was really well done. Yo, yeah. No, absolutely. Oh, yeah.
Okay. I got to check this out. This sounds like some fun.
J-Rod, and the horses, so they do one of the things where you've got one horse going this way, one horse going that way, and they've got these big wooden big wooden sticks, and they got to smash each other. And I think whoever stick breaks loses. And when I tell you the wood, they actually pulled down a net because the wood gets shattered, goes everywhere.
Dang.
It's explosive.
That's kind of sick.
It was really good. It was combative. It was good energy. And what I was trying to figure out, I'm like, they have to be piping in the sounds because every time those metal, now when they were like, then they got off the horse, then they get on their feet and they're like hitting each other and whacking each other. And every time the swords would meet, you would hear this massive.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, it sounds like. But then as I really started to watch it through like, content or production mind, I'm like, that's either impeccable timing or it's real. And then you saw like sparks flash.
Whoa.
I mean, I guess maybe that could be part of the theater as well. But I think that they were really hitting each other. And I think we got hosed because we absolutely had the best athlete. Like if this guy could play linebacker for the Giants, jacked, fast, jumping around, good energy. It was really, really, really cool. Not cheap, but I'll tell you this too, the thing that you do, and they serve you like in a very medieval way. So you get this big, heavy, like metal or I guess it's metal, cup of soup, right? And you have to, no spoon. You gotta drink it, right? Then they bring you a massive slab of chicken. And honestly, the chicken was a tick dry in the middle.
Okay.
Not that bad, though, right? The chicken was good, and it was a massive chicken breast, right? And you get a little side of corn on the cob, and you get a potato. And they don't give you utensils. You have to eat with your hands.
That's hilarious.
It was cool.
I was going to ask, like, how was the food? I mean, it sounds pretty decent. And you know what? If you got to grub down old school style, I feel like it's a good immersive experience.
Listen, the food was like a diner. Like when I go to a diner, I get, a couple of eggs over easy or, mozzarella sticks or a hamburger with mushrooms. Like I kind of stick to the basic, maybe toasted bagel with butter, whatever, to the menu. It's a very short menu for me at the diner. Like I would not go to a diner, and we go to diner all the time, and order like chicken breast. Like I wouldn't do that at the diner. Right. I would imagine if I did, it would be passable, and that's how I would grade yesterday's chicken. Again, you got to the middle of it, it was a tick dry, but dude, it was good, and it was immersive. It was really fun. The kids loved it. Now, all the different tchotchkes that they're running around like, by the sword, by the sword that lights up, and by the flag of your team, so to speak. We're not doing that. Like, because they didn't even play with the stuff. At least my son, I got him a sword from the Pirates of the Caribbean in Disney. He never played with it. He was always just, a sports kid or building stuff. Like he didn't play with toys that way. So I'm not going to buy it now when he just turned 11.
Okay.
My daughter just
threw a hilarious comment.
Well, what does it say?
J-Rod versus Bada Boom's fight to the death in medieval times.
All right. Well, listen, can you handle yourself, man? I mean, I don't. Bada Booms might be able to throw hands.
That's what I mean. He might be able to joust me off a horse in a stat. So
I don't know about that. I mean, why are you saying that? Don't acquiesce there. Come on, you got to project confidence on Unleashed here. You can't. Now you want to be respectful and say, "All right, I'll leave the door open. Maybe Bada Booms can take me down." But you don't defer to Bada Booms.
It'd be a great joust. It'd be a great joust between me and Mr. Booms. That's all I can say.
Then me and Sal will get after it. I'll put Sal down. I can say.
There we go.
I'll put him down gently, but I'll put him down. It was cool. And then today, have you seen the trailers? I know you don't have kids, so it's a little different. There's a movie out there called GOAT. Have you heard about this?
I've seen the trailers for it. I mean, when I saw Marty Supreme, I think a couple weeks ago, it was in the theater. So yeah, saw it. Looks cool. How's your son feeling for it? Is he excited?
Great. Yeah, my daughter. I take my daughter. I love going to the movies. Yeah, he's excited. I'm gonna take him and his buddy Brody. So we're gonna go later in the day. I was gonna, of course, take my daughter too, but one of her friends reached out to my wife last night, ironically, and said, "Hey, I'm taking Stevie to the movies to see GOAT. Can I take Kins?" I'm like. And this is this made me feel really good. Kins, initially, my daughter told Jen no, because daddy's taking me and I don't want to hurt daddy's feelings, right?
That's so sweet.
And then mom, rightly, because listen, you want to hang out with your friends as much as you can, rightly said, no, daddy would really love for you to go with Stevie. It's cool. And then she's like, "You sure?" And Jen's like, "Yep." So she's actually, I think she's there now. I think that they went to the early show. I love going to the movies. I don't know what it is. Well, I mean, I do know what it is, but I just love going and getting the popcorn and, not going nuts like a Gavone with the candy, but a massive bucket of popcorn with a ton of syrup, butter, and a nice Sprite, and just sitting there. And now that the seats vibrate, you got the little wooden thing that flips over for your table.
Yep.
It's not like going to the movies when I was going. No, nothing. I love it. I do love it. So we're going later for GOAT. And medieval times last night, again, a little corny, but it's first time I've done it and was awesome. And I didn't think it was corny. Like, I thought it was corny before I went. I'm like medieval times, but I'd never gone all these years. I never, there was none of that growing up in Brooklyn.
Yeah,
And,
no.
I guess there's a couple in Jersey. We hit that. And then the kiddos go back to school tomorrow because they were off for a couple days. President's Day and I don't know, Energy Day, whatever the hell it is.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I had no idea school was off today too, huh?
Yeah. They were off today. Not every school. I know that like the high schools are in session, but
sure.
At least our school district for the younger grades, they're off today. So we got a lot to hit today, man. Hopefully you guys react to this and continue pumping in those texts. You guys have done a really good job. The likes, all the stuff, the retweets on all the other platforms, the hypes. I've seen some hypes coming in a little bit here.
Yeah.
So pay attention to the hype leaderboard now.
We're getting up. I mean, I'm seeing some vids. They're hitting like 40K, 50K pretty soon after we drop them. So appreciate the likes. Yeah. Appreciate the hypes. Drop your hype budget on this video if you've got it. And I mean, it's funny that they kind of keep you at just like, you have 3,000 hype points per week that you can use, and it resets. It's like you got your little.
Oh, is that what it is? So it's 3,000 for the whole week.
Yes, and then you dole them out in increments of 1,000.
Oh, now could you do this though? Can somebody give me 2,000 and some gamer that they love 1,000? Like, can you split it up?
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
So you could toss 2 to one person, 1 to another. But I think on YouTube's base, like no premium, it's 3,000 per week.
Yeah, and listen, those gamers with 1 million subs don't need it. We do. So
exactly.
Screw those.
They've already got it.
They got it. They got enough hype, man. We're getting off the tracks here. All right, J-Rod, let me wrap it up, buddy. Good job out of you today. By the way, just pop that up. I just want to get one more look at it because, boy, it really does validate what we're doing. Get up that. Just look at that, man. Hold on, keep it up. I got to take a picture of that. I have to take. I feel legitimate seeing that. Like I think I'm watching a TV show. How great is that? And how great is that? We're the New York Yankees. What are we doing here? You can get it off J-Rod. So we obviously hit that. We hit Steve Cohen, said a couple of things that I reacted to, the Breece Hall stuff as well. Anytime you want to jump in, anything pertaining to the draft, by all means, hit it. Get the videos out there. Get the likes up. Get the subs up. Spread the word. BT Unleashed in the house. I will be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. I am contemplating. It's probably a good night to experiment with it because I'm actually not assigned to the St. John's game tomorrow. I might do a soft launch St. John's watch party. It's kind of late. Starts at 9. I don't know. Maybe pour a little scotch. Maybe sitting here, watch the game. I know I can't run the game on here, obviously, but I haven't done a watch party yet. And I know I'm definitely going to do a few for the Yankees and the Mets and the Knicks playoffs. And I'm sure I'll do a couple with the Jets during the season, which will be wild. Wow. But I think I might do that tomorrow at 9. Because I'm going to be on with Sal at 8. All right, so I'll be on Sal's channel tomorrow. Make sure you guys hook him up, show him a little love. Make sure you watch us there. And if I do the watch party with St. John's, I will let you guys know ahead of time. I'll tweet it out. I'll put it up here on the YouTube page. What else? BT and Sal Live 2.0 on April 10th in Long Island at LIU's campus at their theater. About 500 seats. Tickets should be on sale tomorrow. You'll have the link here. You'll have the link on X. You'll have the link on Instagram. You'll have the link, and we can't wait to see you guys because the first one was a rousing success. Sold it out. Absolutely, and it was fun, and it was interactive. Like it was, listen, here's the thing, too. If anybody, and real quick, anybody that is watching right now and that is texting, were any of you guys at the actual show? Because I'd love for you guys to give me a brief little scouting report. Like, it's not just like, oh, BT and Sal are on stage. They're nowhere near the crowd. We walked through the crowd. I'm sitting up there with a drink. I mean, Booney's sitting up there hammering back a vodka. We did a couple of shots in the green room before we went out there. Flipping baseball cards to the fans, throwing signed baseballs to the fans. Like, we really got out there and mingled and interacted because that's the kind of event we treat it as. Like, if you guys are carving out your time and spending a few bucks to come and hang out with me and Sal, we're gonna over deliver. We're gonna under promise and we're gonna over deliver. And the sponsorship was great and the traction was great. So I fully expect this guy to sell out as well. Let me see here. Maybe I don't really have time. I don't know if anybody that's watching now was actually there. If not, it's all good. Trust me, it was a great night. So have a really good rest of your Tuesday. Looking forward to seeing Goat, the movie. I'll take the boys to see that. Tomorrow we'll be on the air. Busy day. The show at 10. Hooking up with Sal at 8. Maybe a Johnny's watch party at 9. Anything breaks, of course, big. trades, I don't know, whatever it might be. God forbid an injury for anybody. Yanks, Mets, spring training. Hopefully not. I will bust in. I'll hook it up live there. But let me run here. Have a great rest of your day. I will catch you tomorrow at 10 right here on Unleashed. Peace out, guys. I'll see you.
This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me?
With your host, Brandon Tierney.